What's going on, everybody? And happy Thursday to everybody in the chat. Tonight we're going to have a little bit of fun. We had Mike from Metal Detecting North Carolina talking about old coins. We had Mark from Two Brothers Treasure talking about magnet fishing and how it is running a website and be a motorcyclist. Well, tonight we're going to do a little bit different. Kind of a newcomer to the community, but somebody that's been doing very well. Joined the Nomads, and we're gonna get to know Bre tonight a little bit. But Metal BREtectorist, it gets me a little tongue tied saying it, has decided to join us, and we're just gonna go through and have a good time and get to know her. So if anybody has any questions, if you don't know anything about her, hit me up in the chat. And we're going to welcome Bre.
Hey,
Can
first
you
of all,
hear?
I can hear you. Thank goodness. First of all, I have to comment on what you just said about how you trip over my name. Here
Yeah.
I was a couple years ago thinking I was so clever. I always do like the play on words with my name because it just slides into stuff. Like when I used to game a lot, that's what Bre said instead of that's what Bre said or she said. And I was like, oh, so clever. People will easily get that. Everybody trips over it. And I've thought about changing it, but decided to stick with it because it's just me. So Metal BREtectorist it is.
Oh my gosh. 1 out of 5 times I mess it up every time I say it. Uh,
Oh,
you
I'm
know,
used
and
to it.
and and no offense to the chat today, but since Bre is kind of new to me, I've seen her around a little bit for the last few months. I got a lot of stuff that I gotta get through in an hour or so tonight. So all y'all, I'm gonna kind of flip through the chat as we talk and say hello to a few people, but I want to get right in this because it's fun to have somebody new to play with up here. So we're gonna figure it out. So the first thing I got to ask is that the first time I remember seeing you in a live stream, it was the night I had Jersey Ray on, and we were doing the benefit for her dog. Was that the first time you'd been over here?
Yeah, I think so.
Because that's been a hot minute, and I saw your name that night, and I had no clue, and then all of a sudden your name just started popping up everywhere. So how did your YouTube channel is still relatively new? Your how
Hmm.
many followers you got on TikTok?
Like a little over 4,000.
Yeah, so you've been focusing over there more than YouTube, obviously, right?
Yeah, it's where I started, so naturally became like what I was most comfortable with, and then everything else seemed so foreign to me. So I'm trying to I started a Facebook page. I started my YouTube, which is right now just my TikTok content getting shared over to this side of the world.
Why not?
But I'm hoping to get better at it and make those cool thumbnails that you guys all make and make longer content and just learn this world a little more.
So where did the transition come from? First of all, how did you find metal detecting?
Um, so man, I don't want to sound like a broken record for some of you that just saw me on previous live shows, but I've always been a treasure hunter of sorts. Whether it's sea glass or in my community looking for the painted rocks or looking for the glass floats that they'll hide sometimes around the year. And always just looking down and seeing what there is, and my friends being grossed out when I pick something up off the ground and like, look at this. But my grandma Phoebe passed away a couple years ago, and we were going through her things, and she had her whites machine, and it was one of those like, why the heck did I never even think of metal detecting when I like looking for treasures, so much. But so I took that and it ended up not working, but decided I still wanted to give it a shot from there.
So you found your grandmother's whites.
Yep.
Did she ever find anything with it? Was there like displays in the house, or was there
No.
books or something? Or was it just something that was there?
Well, I mean, she would take it out to the beach when she went to the beach, but not very often. She was so into like just things like that to have and do every once in a while. And she always had fun thinking of Bigfoot and, things like that. But no, she never got really into it at all.
I gotcha. So you've always been a treasure hunter. You found a metal detector at your grandmother's, and it made you kind of
Yeah.
want to do the hobby. Okay, you went out and got your first metal detector, or what was that?
So my mom, because she knew how stoked I was when I found my grandma's, and I was like, oh man, this could be my thing. Because I was searching for my thing, my hobby, something for myself. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I have a full-time job, and I really wanted to find that me time. And I tried roller skating for a couple years and and different things like that. But so she ended up sending me a pankey because she wanted me to find that thing too. So she sent me this pankey through Amazon, and I went out with that sucker and I found 150 nails. But I also found like a little cool, I think F4 jet plane in my backyard. Um, but even finding those nails, I loved everything about the hobby and knew that it was going to be a long-term thing for me. You're outside, you're moving, you're adventuring to new places that you've never been before, perhaps. You're digging, there's that thrill of the hunt. There's so much to enjoy about the hobby than just the finds.
So you go from a machine that finds primarily nails. When did you start figuring out that you could find real treasure, or when did you start discovering that?
Well, I think kind of, I suppose, when I found that little toy plane from the 70s in my backyard. Um, but I think when the next machine I got after that was the 900, the Knox 900.
Ooh, that's a
It
quick upgrade.
it was because I think, like a lot of things in life, when like, and you're going to take it more seriously and make those upgrades. So definitely decided to do that. And then took the 900 out, took a lot of time getting to learn it because it was overwhelming at first. Um, and even, finding, I was on the hunt at first. I remember just trying to find a wheat penny. And I remember just the thrill of like, oh, I see a copper penny. Is this going to finally be it? And, and like trying to look at the date, flipping it over to see the back of it. Um, but yeah, from there it grew to, of course, like all of us, you're starting to find, as you learn that machine, more and more and more treasures, whether it's jewelry or more different coins, silver. Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but I tried.
No, I mean, I get it. So, that's a quick upgrade. Uh, when you upgrade from a nail finder, basically what some of the real basic ones are
Yeah.
to the Knox 900. The Knox 900 is very easy to use out of the box as the 800 and most of their upper end equipment there. Uh, so, I mean, that's a big jump from there to TikTok and making videos. I mean, what brought that on, and did you have any guidance along the way helping you with the detecting, and then talk about a little bit about transitioning to start recording?
Whew, okay, so I also read. You can see that there's books
You
next to
can
me.
read
I can.
books.
Ah. Yeah. So I kind of dabbled with they call it book talk on that side of things on TikTok. So I dabbled with jumping into that and making review videos on books I've read, things like that. So I was kind of familiar with making content a bit before there. Um, but then I started, once I got into metal detecting, I was a lurker for a bit, watching other people metal detecting, and it's great because oftentimes people are going live and detecting in real time, and you're able to comment, ask questions, interact. So that was a fantastic way, hello, to learn. I think in this hobby, along with a lot of other things in life, we're both teachers and learners. We always have something to teach, always have something, to learn from others. It doesn't matter how long you've been detecting or doing whatever in life. There's always something that you can give and something you can take. So a lot of that started with me interacting with these people live, asking questions, getting to understand how everything works a little bit more. And then specifically starting to watch people who used the machine I was using. But I think there was both that inspiration And I know that it's a great way to kind of catalog and record all of the finds in my adventures for myself. So I decided to give it a shot and start making content. But ultimately, it was definitely for myself at first. I wasn't expecting, to get followers. And that's not why I do any of the things I do, right? Like I don't try to get as many followers as I can or views as I can. It's because I never want to lose sight of the enjoyment of any of it, if that makes sense. Like I'm doing
Yeah.
it because I love it, not for any other reason.
And ironically, that's the same answer that almost everybody has, is that, somebody started recording for somebody that couldn't watch just so that they could show somebody what they were doing. It was never for what it ends up being. One of the first people I ever watched right there, Mr. Bill Ladd from Digfellas, probably the pioneer for YouTube videos and making metal detecting content. It's been around a hot minute, and the excitement that he brought to it when we first started watching videos was really cool. And he shows up every now and again here, and he's always a great guest. So thanks for stopping by, Bill. But give you your props for what you've done for the community. It is a big jump. And then you take it, and then almost immediately, because this has been like less than a year that you've been doing. 2 years? How long have you been on? Like,
About 2.5.
so it's a pretty big jump. This is where I wanted to get to before we get to the good stuff, is that, and then how did it come about who asked you to become and join the Nomads?
So that was 1,000,000% something unexpected. I was not anticipating that at all. I wasn't seeking after anything like that at all. And I, ironically, I'd never even swung a Nokta detector before. Um, but I got a message from someone big in the YouTube world, that's into metal detecting, and they were like, "Hey, can you call me?" And I'm like, "What? Did you send this to the right person? You talking to me?" Um, and so I was like, "All right, well, we'll give this a shot and see what's up." And called them, and they were like, "Hey, curious, because you just seem like the right person, for it, like the characteristics, traits." I'm not going to say everything they said and sound like I'm bragging on myself, but they said some very kind things that, they've seen, and said, "Hey, would you be interested if I, suggested this for you?" And so we talked a little bit about it. I wasn't even familiar with what this entailed, what it was. And next thing I knew, I was like, I first said I'd like to learn a little bit more about this. And then the next thing I knew, Mark from Nokta and I were scheduling a call on a weekend. And our first call was 2 hours long of just, he was interviewing me to learn more about me and see if I was the right fit. But I was also interviewing him and interviewing Nokta and who Nokta really was, what was really important to Nokta, who's this company that I'm going to consider representing. And also that making sure this isn't something that's going to turn such a hobby and joy for me into feeling like a chore or a job, because I never ever want to lose that. That's the number one for me. I'm doing this because for me, I
Right.
love it. It's my hobby. It's my thing. Um, but yeah, we were both interviewing one another. And at the end of that first call, it felt right. It seemed like we were really aligned on what was important to us. And then, like I previously shared, it's cool now seeing all the things that, you know, Mark was saying was important to Nokta start to play out, with their visibility, them showing up to these metal detecting events for the community, them being okay with doing these giveaways for the community. Like it's really backed up by action. So that's really validating, I suppose.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the biggest interest, is that since probably I can't remember the year that they came out with it, but they dropped the Note to Impact, and it's been probably 5, 6, 7 years ago, and I immediately had to have that machine when I saw it come out, and ever since I've been doing live streams, if I've ever asked them for anything, they've always provided. If I do a fundraiser, I've asked several times, and they've always stepped right up to the plate and donated. and Mark's a really nice guy. Him and I had been
Mhm.
friends from back when he worked at Kellyco. So
Okay.
I've known Mark for a really long time as well, and it's just represented by such great people. And now I'm pretty much stuck on Nokta products. The Legend 2 has become, it's like the Legend 1's new better brother that was just born. and
Better
uh,
brother.
and it really has a really nice feel to it. I've only had it out 4 or 5 times now, but yeah, I really love I love the company as well. And anybody that goes into the Nomads, um, you know, me and Miss Alicia are really close. She lives just like 30 or 40 miles south of me now, so her and I have been close for a long time. And I was just really curious because, like I said, you just kind of to most of us here on, I guess, in this part of the community, you just like, hey, there's this new person here that's a nomad and doesn't have a very big YouTube channel. I'm like, well, I got to figure out who this is, and we got to get her on here and stuff like that. So, first of all, congratulations. That's got to be a great honor to go around and represent a company that has such a high moral standard. And you get to go do fun stuff and get to do what you love. So looks like
Yeah.
it's a win-win.
Yeah, thank you. And you touched on a point that I really love about Nokta too is, and good reminder, if anybody else is new or anybody else doesn't have a lot of followers or subscribers or whatever you want to call it, um, that's not what they're focused on when they're looking for people to represent them as nomads. They're focused on the person, the individual, their impact on the community. Is it a positive impact? Is it, you know, so just be you, keep doing you, and it doesn't matter how many followers you have. Like, you're going to be seen for the person you are. So I love that
Yeah,
about them.
yeah, it's really hard. You come on here and believe it or not, if you put yourself out there, it doesn't take much for people to figure out who you are and what you're about. People know, you have to put enough of yourself out there for people to see who you really are. So it's probably a pretty easy process for them to pick. So I mean, once again, that's a high honor, to for a company to have that kind of trust and thought in a person, have the right moral character to represent them. I think that's just absolutely awesome. I like
Yeah.
to talk a little bit about uh, some of the fines and things that we're going through. And so you've been detecting probably, you said 2.5 years, or is that just
Hmm.
how long you've been recording?
Yeah, detecting.
So, I mean, like so far, what's some of your favorite finds thus far? Both pick a relic and a coin.
Um, so they're all kind of my favorites because there's just different. It's the find itself, of course, which is amazing and cool, and the history behind it. But it's also where you were, who you were with behind the find, right? That makes some of these things so special when we look at them. But what I've also done is try to think on what I was sharing last week and make sure not to repeat that. So it's not the same things I'm showing here. Um, so here I'll show my first large copper. I doubt you're going to be able to see anything from this because it was dug into Pennsylvania fields and they
Pretty
often
wiped,
come
huh?
out. Yeah, pretty crunchy there, but let me flip it the right way here.
Oh my
There is
gosh.
KG2, King George II there. Um, and then you can see Britannia a bit on the back, and it's actually got a 20-degree error on the turn there.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, my first large copper, and that was probably an hour after I found my first silver. It took me over a year to find my first silver coin. So that day in Pennsylvania last year, we went out to this private permission as we were heading there for come out swinging. I find my first silver, which was an 1899 barber. So I joined the 1800s club, and then an hour later joined the 1700s club with my KG2 and found my first, largie. So that was a good night.
A KG2. I got the only British copper I got to KG3, and I got it up in New York at Digstock. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, but that was pretty crunchy. What signal did that baby give off on the Legend 2?
So that was pre-Legend
Oh,
2
okay.
and
I'm sorry.
pre-Nomad status too, mind you. I think my Nomad status became official in January of this year, I want to say.
Okay.
But I was using I've used a couple machines since before this. Um, the 900, and I want to say it was the lower 90s that it
Oh
was
wow.
bringing up as. Yeah.
Yeah, because usually I remember my British copper was a little bit lower than a U.S. large cent, and I thought that it was kind of a really strange signal when I dug it that day. I didn't I but I like the 1 to 100 scale too, so I keep forgetting because all these machines used to have different scales, and you kind of got to remember where the numbers correlate to one another.
Right. Right.
But definitely cool. And so, what's your favorite relic that you found thus far?
Um, so again, these aren't necessarily favorites. They're just something that I haven't shared before to keep it new for all the viewers here. So this is a cool
Keep it.
find I found in Washington here. And it says Royal Protective Insurance here. It's aluminum. And I
Hmm.
thought at first when I dug it that it was going to be like a dog tagger. And then I was like, oh, maybe it's some sort of fob. But on this side of it, it
Oh,
says to identify me, telegraph. And then it's got a number there that's kind of messed up. You don't see the full number there to
right.
address on the backside. Um, so this would have been,
Telegraph.
yeah, telegraph, first of all, like geeking out when I saw that, like, ooh, this has some age to it, especially for here in Washington State. But yeah, an ID tag to identify somebody in the event that they became unidentifiable or deceased, and so they could telegraph that number to identify who that person was.
Yeah, that's really cool. I've never seen something that said tele. If you find it's if you pick this up, telegraph somebody to find
Yeah,
it. I mean,
yeah.
you find the ones that say, "Hey, drop it in a U.S. mailbox, and we'll make sure it gets there. Postage is guaranteed." Yada yada yada. But those are that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I
So you
love
found
that.
that. So you found that in Washington State. Dude, what's your
Mhm.
next event that you're going to? We'll go. We'll skip ahead a little bit.
So there's one that's in the works, and I think I'm allowed to share it, and it's a different one, and I'm excited because I'm a geek and I'm a proud geek. So what is potentially happening in August is Moonlight Gathering in Utah. And they're all about a combination of, and my grandma would be so pumped to go to this event, mind you. It's treasure hunting, Bigfoot, aliens. They've got like the Skinwalker Ranch, folks there. So it's a combination of all those things. And, there's an opportunity to be able to represent NOCTA, share about metal detecting and intro to metal detecting, do some demonstrations there. Um, and, potentially get people who may not have thought about metal detecting that are kind of still in that realm, into it.
Well, that's really cool. I love all the events, and that's part of the reason you do a little self promotion, but that's part of the reason why we purchased West Shore Hobbies is that we wanted to go out and represent dealers at events. We wanted to go represent all the companies and just be able to do a little bit more traveling. It's kind of like that. Hey, I'm getting a little bit older. Let's get it. Let's get a plan, like a pre-retirement plan together, so you can go out and do stuff. So that's why we decided to buy a dealership and sell metal detectors so that we could actually go to the events and be a part of them and work in in that kind of find.
That's
You
awesome.
still stay on the finds things. What are some of the items that are on your bucket list? Since you're a new detectorist, I'm sure your bucket list is really long.
It
But
is.
what are the ones that rank near the top?
Oh man. So I'll say other than like the crazy amazing ones that are on all of ours, like a GW button, specifically the ones with the colonies all around. Um, things I really want to find is a complete crotal bell that rings, specifically one with the pedals. I want
Hmm.
one so badly. And then I really want to find a jaw harp.
Yeah. Oh
I
my
think they're
gosh.
cool. Yep.
Now, I don't think you find any Civil War relics up your way, right? There's nothing like that up there. But what kind of military stuff is able to be found up there? Do you have like old militia stuff? What is there anything like that in your history in your area?
Um, well, so naturally there's going to be some, but there are there are rare occasions you find some of the older, war history stuff here just from people who came back this way or inherited something and, brought it back this way. But I found World War I Great Seal Button, which was surprising to me even. Lots of World War II stuff in this area. I'm trying to think of anything other war-related items. I think that's it for this area here.
Yeah. I mean, I was just really curious because, I'm in a Civil War zone, like, and we find not a lot here because it wasn't a lot of battles here, but we do find quite a bit. Um, and back to them and back to the bucket listers, you know, what is reasonable in your area? Like, I mean, uh, like, how does your area rank as far as what do you think the oldest coin you can find there is that, that would be natural drop, kind of things like that?
So we can go from like mid to late 1800s, depending on the area that you're in here. But again, you just never know. That's
Right.
that's what's recorded and what I can read about, but you never know before because people would come this way but not settle quite yet. And then there was fur trading history that happened around here, and we've got the like Oregon Trail stuff and close by, and oh, that's a tough one because a lot of the relics on my top bucket list are more so going to be found as I go east.
Right.
But I mean, I think it'd be pretty cool to pull a US large cent from here.
Out
I have
there.
never pulled one, so I think it'd be pretty awesome too. People have, it's just not as common.
Yeah. What's the oldest coin you've pulled in your area? How's that? That's a good way to put it.
1900 for me personally. 1900 barber
Oh,
half.
oh, it's beautiful. Spin that baby. Yeah, that coin had a lot
Yeah.
of meat on it when it was dropped. Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's
it was
super nice.
beautiful. Yeah, a friend and I got lucky enough to find
Find
a
one together.
virgin site and pulled I pulled that and a 19 I want to say 1907 Barbara dime from there. I found a Washington silver quarter there. I found a Roosevelt campaign pin, a V nickel. Um, yeah, it was a really good spot. She found a 1943 Walker half there.
Angie wants to know if you prefer finding coins or relics.
So love both, but something about relics just gets me a bit more excited, more personal.
Yeah, I like the relics that I don't know what they are and that I have to figure it out once I get home.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes, me too.
when you
Me
have to
too.
sit down and really do the research, and that's a
Yeah.
main reason why when Mr. Plummer did his book, that it was really such a help to most of us that we got a relic identification book now.
Shoot. Yes, I love that book and I have it right here. I was gonna look for one that got me super stoked because I had one of those and I was digging in Indiana with friends. And I kept it because it was interesting because it almost looked like there was like an like a face on an inanimate object. And I was like, oh, this thing looks kind of quirky. And it ended up being, I know it's something, and it ended up being like the powder flask tops. Do you
Hmm.
know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
So that was super cool to find and learn what it was. And I'm like, dang, I'm glad I hung on to that and didn't think it was just a hunk of junk.
Where did you get to dig in Indiana?
Oh, I'm trying to think of where
North,
she's at.
central, south? Do you remember where? Kind of?
Um,
Because that's my home state, and that's
is
where I
it?
dig. Yeah, that's where I dig most of the time anyways, Indiana. I dig on the southern half of the state, but yeah.
Oh man, there was a military airport, a little one I flew into, and I can't think of the name of it.
Um, hmm, military airport.
Something that after this is over, I'm gonna think of right away. But when you're like on the spot and your mind goes, I'm gonna erase all the knowledge of that from your brain so that you can't think of it. That's what's going on.
Right.
Oh, can't think, but
Would you remember it if I said it?
yeah, I probably would.
Let's see.
I should just look at my
I
flight
I
history.
I keep wanting to think it's the one in Columbus, but I can't think of the name of it. Himsel?
Nope. Fort. It was I think Fort something.
Okay. Let's see, what do we got? Himsel, and then Freeman,
Mm-mm.
World War II Army. Virgil Grissom is the one I was thinking of. That's in Columbus. I guess Indiana National Guard in Fort Wayne. I really don't. Indianapolis, no.
No, I'm just brain
Atterbury?
farting. Our town.
Atterbury?
No.
I thought it would be one of the ones that I thought it was, and I guess it's not.
No, I'm telling you, as soon as we end this live stream, it's gonna pop into my brain. And I'm gonna be like, oh yeah.
That's how
I'll
life
email
goes.
you to let you know.
Yeah, I got it. So you were digging in Indiana with friends.
Yeah.
So did you do well, or how did that go?
Yeah, I first of all loved it out there. It reminded me of just seeing like the flat farmland again. I lived in Iowa for a little bit as a kid, and so it kind of gave me that feel. Um, but I got a 1852 Dragon Slayer half penny.
Oh wow.
Yeah, love it. That thing's awesome. I got several toe taps for the first time ever. One that has a patent date on it. I didn't know that some of them had patent dates on it, so that was neat to find out as I was cleaning it up. That's where I
Man.
found the powder flask top. I found a swordfish, a metal swordfish. It must have been a pin or something out in this field. I found pieces of that crotobell that were my bucket lister that I wanted so badly. Can't remember what else, but it was a really good trip. Our whole group did really well out there.
Yeah, the Crotal Bell really eludes me. I I've got so my friend found one, and I've got it up. I got a display cabinet at my work, and I put it up there with all my stuff up there. And I told him, I said, I'm not giving it back until I find my own. So I basically took his find, put it up there, and I displayed it. And I decided that I was not going to give it back until I found it. And we work together, and he comes in there like once or twice a year and says, "Have you found that Crotal Bell yet?" I'm like, "Nope." And I'm like, "And you're not taking yours until I find one. It stays right here." And he's like, "Well, we're gonna have to go do some digging so that we can go find it." I got it.
One day.
So,
That's
so
awesome.
back to the legend. What have you learned about it that you like? Do you got a favorite mode? Do you got favorite settings? How do you set your machine up a little bit? Because there's quite a few of us in here that do play with the legend, and I'm just
Hmm.
kind of curious to the mode that you like and how you like to play with it.
Yeah, so just for awareness, it's the Legend 2 that we're talking about specifically. I've never swung the Legend, but the Legend 2, what I love is the 1 to 999 VDI scale. That's what I'm used to. That's what I know on other machines. So even with the triple score, it took me, I get what you were saying earlier, where it's like, wait, hold on. I should dig this. This is actually probably a good signal here. But I like that. I like to be able to better identify targets and have a better idea with that larger scale there. Um, I love the battery life is insane, 8 to 20 hours depending on the settings that you're running. Love that it comes with the two different coils. I can't wait for that 9-inch coil to come out though, because I personally love 9-inch round coils, so I'm pretty pumped about that. I'm pleased with the different modes that it has on there. I haven't tried Relic yet, but I'm trying it this weekend. I just want to give it a shot, see what I think, get to know it better so I can speak to it. But my go-to's kind of been either mostly park. In my area, I was messing around with field a lot, of course, in Pennsylvania. But I'll run M1, M2, or sometimes M3 because it's Washington and it rains a lot out
Right.
here. So sometimes I do use that M3 setting. I usually keep my reactivity. It's got the 1 to 10 scale. So I usually keep it, depending on where I'm at, like 3 to 5 range.
Yep.
More so on that 4 or 5 range, I want to say. I
Yep.
prefer all metal mode. I like to hear the iron. I like to know when I'm in the spots that seem more promising. Um, but I like that. I like that constant noise. And I don't know if it's just me or if I'm wrong here, but I feel like if I discriminate some of that out, that there's a chance that it could mask something and then you're missing it just even by a hair if you're masking out that iron. So I like to run all metal mode.
Well, you sound just like the rest of us because one of your fellow nomads, Chris, Wicked Digger, he's like me. We set that thing up. I run all metal mode as well. Uh, I've always preferred the M2 mode. I've been using M1 a little bit more, and I like to hear the iron as well. And the main thing that I like about the Nocta products, Legend 1, Legend 2, is that you can set that, that 0 to 10 VDI, and then you can set that volume down really
Yep.
low, so you just hear just the tiniest bit of that grunt, but you know when it's there. So
Yep.
that way you can focus, you can turn the volume up on the tones that you want to hear really well, and but you make sure you listen to all of it because it does tell a story. So I think we all are kind of in that boat. I don't like many of the other modes. I don't like to discriminate any sounds out, and I like to hear all VDIs.
Yep. Same. Absolutely the same.
So, and the other thing that I like is the ferrous, non-ferrous bar at the bottom. That always gives me some really good idea that if I'm digging something decent or not. I mean, it sometimes it's not absolutely perfect science, but over half the time it's more than it's more than half the time it's pretty correct on the ferrous, non-ferrous side. Is there so you haven't, and you did field mode in Pennsylvania, and you're getting ready to do relic mode this weekend. The relic mode I haven't played with, and I haven't really read much about it. What's all goes into relic mode?
So that I have to figure out. I know that I believe it's one tone based. So that'll be different and challenging, but I know that like the volume changes depending on, I don't know, I can't remember if it's exactly, I've read the manual 7 times, but when you don't use something, it's not going to stick, right? It's like you can sit in the passenger seat, right, of on a drive, and then they're like, "Oh no, we went there yesterday. Just drive there." And you're like, "Wait, I don't know where I'm going." You have to be the driver. You have to drive it to remember these things. So I'll learn about it a lot more this weekend because that's my goal, and I'm challenging myself to do it, which is really hard to do, especially when you're really used to a certain mode and settings, because then you feel like, "Oh man, but what if I mess with this mode and I end up not digging the treasures that are there?"
So how many tones do you use? Do you use 1, 2, 4, 6, or 99?
I use 6. That's what I found I like the best so far.
Yeah, that's I think a lot of people set these machines up pretty much the same. It really feels that way because I like 6 tones as well, but usually anything over 80, I just leave as I'll keep 80 to 100 all the same tone, so it's basically a 5 tone setup because
Okay.
they're all anything over that I'm digging anyway. So
Right, right.
and keep it at the highest level. That way it scares me. But yeah, the 6 tone setting has been the way we all go. I can't. I just it really gets to me because I'm like every time I talk to somebody, I'm like, hey man, I want to learn a trick or a secret, and then I find out that everybody sets the machines up the almost the
I
same
know.
way.
I know.
So I guess
I've
everybody
learned
just
that
keeps
too.
copying. So you're not going to teach me no tricks today. That's not fair.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. Uh, I see a lot of your shorts. So I was just really curious about, some of your good permissions here lately that you've gotten, some of your more recent finds. Is there anything that stands out that you'd like to talk about?
Um, I'm thinking from my area, my brain's stuck still in Pennsylvania. I'm still coming down from that awesomeness, you know.
Right?
Um, and then come back to Washington, which I still love digging here, right? But I did put a couple of the things I just found in Pennsylvania on the table here. And one of them I haven't made a video on yet because I have some research to do. But some of you may have seen this. I mean, it is Thirsty Thursday, so I thought it was fitting. But I found my
Uh-oh.
first belt buckle.
It's Budweiser.
It's Budweiser. First belt buckle in Pennsylvania in an Amish yard, mind
A
you.
Budweiser buckle in an Amish yard? That don't sound right at
Yes,
all.
I know. We were at the B&B we were staying, me and another gal that were staying at that B&B, saw the neighbor that was across the street out mowing, and he has this beautiful, of course, old colonial home. And he has all this land. And so we were like, oh, we're going to shoot our shot. And, why not? He's across the street from our permission or from our B&B. So we went over there and asked him for permission, and he was okay with it, which was really awesome. But yeah, he got a kick out of that when I showed him that find. He didn't want to keep it, but
Well, that's
I
good.
offered it to him. So there was that from there, which was cool. I got my first cow tag in
That's a
Pennsylvania.
banger. Those
Yeah,
are
I was.
always loud.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a can. And oh man, the come out swinging event was awesome. Of course, mostly always events because of the people that are there. But the swinging and the permissions, just in the last week, that those crops had just grown and grown and grown. So it was some tough swinging out there, but managed to pull that out, which was pretty cool and exciting. And I've never found one of those items that wasn't necessarily on my bucket list, but once I dug it, I was like, oh man, this should have been on my bucket list. So I don't even have to write it on because I just cross it right off.
Just cross it right off. Bill says Washington State has some nice ghost towns.
Yep, they do. Yep, we definitely have several of those. Um, some that are harder to get to, some that's just distance away from me. And then I am one of those people that's I have to have permission, like I have to be able to contact. So I've had some emails sent out to try to see if I can get permission to, and some I haven't had. I've been ghosted. I haven't
You've
gotten
been
any
ghosted in ghost
response back.
towns? Well, that's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I won't like that I'll stop trying. I'm definitely going to keep pursuing those because there's some really cool ones. It would just require me to like stay out in that area for that weekend. But yeah, there's some cool ones. And then the other one that I haven't posted yet from Pennsylvania is this trapper tag. And you're not going to be able to make anything out on this, but it was folded up when I found it. And you can see at the top, there's two initials, a last name, and then it says the town that we were in. And first when I found it, I was like, wow, I loved even just the town name on there because last year, my first time there were just so many fantastic memories made in this town at this same gentleman's permission, who's kind enough to let us come back again this year and dig his farms. But it holds a special spot in my heart. So just even seeing the town name on there was awesome. But I can't wait to research this person and hopefully find information on them and learn who they were, learn their story, and be able to do an actual storytelling video for the first time because it's the first, I believe it's the first personal item I found in terms of an actual name to identify somebody and tie it back to. So I'm looking forward to doing that.
Yeah, it just leads me into another part of the subject. What tools do you like to use for research? How do you go about finding your permissions? Kind of speak a little bit on how that works for you.
Sure. I use oh gosh, here my brain's gonna blank again. There's an app where you can look around your area and just kind of zoom around, see a spot, click on it, and it will show you at least the current home that's on there, what age it was. And so that's kind of where I start. Um, I mean, that's also hard to answer because there's so many answers. There's historic aerials
Mhm.
that I've used before. There's the historic map works that I've used. There's also buying books. I've bought books on my county just to learn where, like this one was published in the 80s, but it's a complete history of what's been at least known and recorded of my county specifically, so that I could learn where to really focus in on more and hone in on more. So it's a mix of things, really.
Yeah, I think everybody has a lot to go through, and there's a lot of good resources online. Hey, just so everybody's aware, here at the we're coming up on quarter till, so here near the end of the stream tonight, I'm gonna put up and donate a $15 gift card for West Shore Hobbies. So if anybody wants to come to the website and buy something, I got a gift card for you all tonight. So everybody that's in the chat needs to type in BRE for Miss Bre tonight, and
Oh, hey.
we're gonna donate a $15 gift card for her in the chat for those of you that have hung out tonight. So everybody start getting that typed in, and we will give that away here in just a little bit.
And then the winner has to say Metal BREtectorist 15 times fast
No,
on live.
Metal BREtectorist. I think it's funny that you like to do play on words with your own name. So that's kind of just trying to figure out ways to do that. And then you mentioned it for the books. I thought that was pretty good too. Yeah, get them typed in. We got to get plenty of entries in here for Bre tonight. Also, everybody, if you haven't, find your way over to her TikTok or her YouTube channel. YouTube channel is really lacking on subscribers right now, so help a dude out and get her going.
Thank you. But also no pressure. If I'm not your cup of tea, that's cool. That's okay. I get it.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It really is. I've gotten through a lot of the stuff that that we had thought about a little bit, but I know that being a nomad, you kind of have some certain people that you kind of favor in the community. But who's some of the people that you started watching when you first came in here? I mean, who do you like to watch on YouTube? Who did you learn from on these making videos?
So I have to say there's just so many. There's so many people, and I loved watching people from all different experience levels and amount of time and swinging. Um, I would say FLX Detectorist on YouTube. My buddy John, he was really
John's
awesome to
great.
watch. Yeah, he's fantastic. Um, there was David Krasinski. David Digs at Night is what we always nickname him as, but he was on TikTok and he used to dig a lot, not so much anymore. There's really too many to name, and it's such a fantastic community over there, just as much as I'm learning it is over here on YouTube. But it was honestly just anybody and everybody that was digging, and especially live, because it was awesome to just be able to, hey, ask a question and get an answer, not just from the person that was out detecting, but anybody in the chat. This community, as most of you guys know, is one of the most helpful and genuine communities out there. So it was
Yeah.
really everybody.
Yeah, it's and what do you think the primary difference between TikTok and YouTube is? I mean, I know long form content, I know, but comparatively the short videos and how it's formatted, what is the biggest difference from over there to here in your mind?
I would say the amount of lives I've noticed, and maybe I'm not watching the right people yet on YouTube, the amount of people detecting live real time. There's so many more doing it on YouTube, like all the time. There's always somebody out there metal detecting live. So it's fun to just sit and watch and hang out in the chat. Hanging out in the chat's one of my favorites on all of these types of live streams because it's just so much fun. But I think that's a huge difference. Also, something as silly as being able to tag people in the chat on the phone is something that's just, I don't know. It's convenient. It's cool. But I am trying to learn the YouTube world a lot more. So I've been trying to make sure to add my content there. And a lot of you guys inspire me to get more into making a little bit longer of content instead of just the shorts. So trying
Yeah,
there.
you just make the long content and then you cut it into a bunch of shorts. It's easy.
There you go.
I I really enjoyed when John he invited me over to Behind the Fines about a month ago, and
Mhm.
I really liked that format on TikTok. It was a very and there were so many people in there that I hadn't met before, but it was
Yeah.
ironic that the community was the same type of people over there that there are
Yeah.
here. Everybody was engaged, commenting, having something to say, and it was just really it was very similar, but it felt like going to a new town where you didn't know anybody and walking in.
Yeah.
You got the one guy that you kind of know that invited you, and then everybody else was new. But most everybody over there was, really similar to what we have here, just kind and asking questions. And it was a really good time over there. And that's a good live stream over there. And it's on Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock. It's called Behind the Fines on TikTok. You guys ought to check it out. They do repost on YouTube when they're done,
Mhm.
but that is another really good live stream to go hang out in.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Fantastic people.
Yeah,
Per
they was
usual, but yeah.
it was a really good time over there, and I really enjoyed it, and they really just kind of let me go, and I just started digging stuff out of the fines cabinets and went
You
because they
sure
were
did, didn't you?
yeah, and then I dropped the whole
You
tray.
dropped it.
Yeah, I dropped the whole tray of relics, and I'm sitting there like, oh no. But anyway, it was a really good time.
You know, I was
Everybody,
almost wondering if that was strategy because then you had to pick something up to put it back in, right?
it could have been. I would like to
Then you
say
have to
that it
talk about
was,
it.
but it wasn't. It when it came out wrong and just went straight to the ground. Yeah, Rob. I would love to sign her up for Monday Digs. Get her to make a 12-minute video and post every week with us, and maybe she will. But
Is that the lineup that you do with like Alicia and William and
they do Fridays.
oh,
I
Fridays,
do.
okay.
See, I do Mondays. So there's about 6 or 7 of us that post every Monday, and we started about with a live stream at 6 o'clock, and we ended about 9:15, and we all post. Well, there's a pretty nice built-in audience. It's about the same amount of people that's in the live every week, between 30 to 50 at times.
Yeah.
And it's just a really good people. But we line our videos up back to back so that Rob down there shares his audience with you. You share your audience with Jeff at Dropped and Forgotten, and so on and so forth. And then everybody kind of intermingles, and everybody kind of gains new subscribers and gets good early view time. So that's how we do it.
Yeah, those are fun. I would again still newer to the YouTube side, but I've caught some of the Friday ones. I'm glad to know that there's a Monday one that happens now because it's
Yeah,
fun. Also, it's kind of like a metal detecting bar hop, right? Like you're going from one to another, and it's a lot of the same people, and so the conversations keep going.
yeah.
That's a good time.
Yeah, don't you worry, Bill. I'm gonna yell at you here soon because you're due to come back. Just so you know, I want to talk about somebody. When I get Bill back on here, I'm just gonna let him go through and pick out different things in his treasure room and just let him sit and post and just show. I'll give him the whole night and he can just kind of go through it. So, uh, Bill's really good about that. Yeah, and Thirsty Thursday. What? All right, everybody, make sure you get it in. We are getting close to the 9:55 time when we're going to give this thing away. $15 gift certificate for West Shore Hobbies, and we'll be giving that thing away here in just a second. Type Bre BRE into the chat if you want to be entered. So you haven't. So was this last event that you went to your first Nomad event, or how many events have you been to for the Nomads, and what all have you done for them so far?
So actually, yes and no. This was the first because I traveled personally for this. I had already had this in the books with my friends, with my good friends. We were gonna make an event, a group event, get the big B&B again, try to find private permissions and do it around Come Out Swinging so that some of us could go to the event as well. But once Mark and, Nokta learned that I was going there, they were like, hey, what a cool opportunity. And so Jason just kind of took me under his wing, just because he's the nice guy that he is when I got there. And they invited me to be part of like the photos with the winners for the different Nokta stuff. So that was pretty cool. It was a little mini intro to events.
Yeah, I saw most of that stuff. Oh, there you go. Somebody likes your shirt.
Cliff Condra, Reaching History. Good guy. He's the one who all of our Cliff Strong shirts, if you guys have seen the Cliff Strong shirts out in the metal detecting world, those are all for Cliff here.
Nice. All right, everybody.
Oh, thank you guys.
Yeah, let's go.
Thank you.
Last time I looked over there, it was in the 200s, so that's actually killing it. Absolutely. So I'm gonna get this thing brought up. We're gonna roll this thing off here in a second. Make sure you get BRE in the chat as I share my screen. Let's see, where are you at?
Hey, Alexa. Hey to all you guys in the chat, by the way. It's good to see you here.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that I don't know that you have come into contact with, but I'm sure they'll be commenting on your videos. There, where are you?
More
at?
friends is always a win.
Yep, more
So thank you.
friends. There we go. I want to see how that looks out. We got 33 entries. It looks like that's about all that's hanging out still right now. Anybody else that wants to get in, you got about, less than a minute. Rules for the day are going to be, you have a 60 seconds to respond in chat that you are here. And then you have to email me for the code for the gift card. So it'll just be a word that you type in at checkout, and you'll get your free money right then and there. Gonna roll it off here. Everybody get
Good
ready
luck.
to go. I want to know, are you gonna try to win, Bre? Are you gonna try to win?
So I got too nervous right when we were starting to join the chat because it made me do some other login, and I panicked and X'd out of that real quick.
I got
So
you.
I'm here I'm just cheering everybody on.
Just cheering everybody on.
Yeah.
What's up, Charlie? Digging that back. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and good luck, everybody. Who's it gonna be? Seen Rick up there a lot. Little Penny Coins, how are you doing, ma'am? All right, Little Penny Coins, you have 1 minute to chat. And I think I saw you just a few minutes ago. So just say something in the chat here while I'm getting my timer started. You got a few extra seconds.
Congratulations.
She's right there. So my email address is going across the bottom of the screen. Send me an email so I can get back into contact with you. I'll just send you an email tonight with a word on it, and that will give you $15 free to use however you like at West Shore Hobbies. And the website is rolling across the bottom with my email address, and there you go. Thank you and congratulations. And thanks.
I meant to ask you about your email.
Yeah.
Is that like is that a full name?
That is my last name and my first name, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the Gmail account that I use for all my stuff. I never really made like a Gmail account for just the channel, so I always do that with all my emails. My Yahoo one is skirvinshane@yahoo.com. My Gmail, I got that. All my emails are formatted the exact same way.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's kind of weird or not.
I'm guilty of the same thing too. But I finally made one. I did make one for the metal detecting world.
Yeah, I don't know so much worry about it. It all works out
Yeah.
the same. I was ballsy enough to put my cell phone number right on the front page of the website and told anybody that joined up to give me a call and let me know if there's anything I can help them with. So if I'm going to do that, then I'll just use my name and my email. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. No, I was just curious what it like. I didn't know if there was like certain meaning in that when I was reading it, emailing you back and forth.
Yo,
I got to figure out exactly what it was, but it's your name.
Yep, last name, first name. All right, thank you again, Little Penny. All you got to do is hit me up for that. Anybody else got any questions for Miss Bre? We've almost covered a whole hour, and we never even really got a chance to talk much with the chat today. We just kind of sit and BS for a while.
Yeah, that went by so fast. If it's like it's weird, it feels like you had some conversation, but you feel like you didn't really cover a whole lot. It flew by.
No, you just kind of bounce around, and it's like that whole. You see, well, like I get you to come back sometime, and then we can skip all the easy early formalities and do that. Wait, oh God, Charlie, that's hilarious. Thank you, Charlie. To make sure it's not COD. Well, it is a gift card. I pay for my shipping. Some people will not totally pay for their shipping. They'll just guesstimate on their little apps, and then they'll make me pay when they show up, when their stuff shows up here. So it's an inside joke. And FL Thunder Digging with Rob sent me a package one time, and it was like 13 cents on postage. So the post office left me a little note in my mailbox saying that I had to come down and pay for it to get my package.
I've had that happen before.
And just like that, I don't let anything go. And I think it's been probably 5 years now that I have beat Rob with a stick over not paying all his postage. And it makes him look cheap, and we have a good time. See, Charlie's like, had to do it, Rob. Well, so also, great. Rob says anybody in the chat use code MDF77 on our site for customer appreciation gift. Check it out. Yep. There's lots of different, if you belong to certain clubs have codes. Certain people have codes, and that is a benefit to use those if you just can find them. But anyway, take a second to thank you for coming on tonight and hanging out for a little while. It was a pleasure to get to talk to you and get to meet you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the invite on. It's always a lot of fun sitting here getting to talk about the hobby we all love and get to meet new folks. So thanks again.
Silver Wishes wants to know if you're near Longview.
Oh, that's about a good 2.5 hours from me, but
I mean, that's
kind of near.
in the grand scheme of things, 2.5 hours isn't that far.
No, no, it's not. Especially if that's where you were, Silver Wishes. If that's where you're at and you're looking for somebody to hunt with, I have another friend of mine that's 2 hours away, and we always meet in like a neutral spot and we go door knocking and get permissions. And that's that day I was talking about earlier where I found all those different silver coins and stuff. So, yeah, feel free to message me if you're nearby.
All right, everybody. Yep. Well, anybody that showed up late, everybody that's been here, thank you guys for showing up. I'm going to close it down now, and everybody have a great week. Hopefully everybody gets out this weekend and finds some nice treasure. And if you do, bring it to #MondayDigs and come see us. But good night, everybody.